Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Southeast Ohio Sports Talk. This show might be our best yet to come because we've got so much to talk about. It's postseason time for many sports in the area and the last week of high school football as well, so make sure you stay tuned for our picks. You don't want to miss those. Of course, the Wheelersburg West game. Plenty more to talk about, though. We've got some great games besides that one over in Wheelersburg as well. But first, Kevin, I've got to ask, because I know you went to PRP on Saturday. What was that experience like for you? It
was amazing. I had to park under the overpass that goes over the side of the river. It was unbelievable. It overwhelms you when you're in there. I walked in and parked my car, and I'm thinking, "Oh my Lord, how am I going to get in here?" And so I got in there, and they had like 5 or 6 bleachers, I think, that they rented, just lining all the way around turns 1 and 2. It totally full. Well over 7,000 people there. They quit counting at 714 campers the day of the race, and they just said we can't keep track of it anymore, and just stopped. Man, it was a great night of racing. You had the tightest point battle in Lucas Oil Weight Model Series history. And Josh Richards, a former Kyle Busch Motorsports development driver, ends up on the NASCAR side, ends up taking the lead on the 48th lap, and he holds the point the rest of the way. And then he clinches the championship because Scott Bloomquist not only blows a tire on lap 92, which effectively ended his chances, because Scott had to win the race with Richards and Tim McCready being so high up in the race itself. But McCready blows a tire on the ensuing restart, which basically gave Richards the title, but he went out, did his thing, won the race, and not much better ways to win a championship than win a race, a $100,000 grand prize in front of the largest crowd in the 27-year history of Portsmouth Raceway Park. That is a promoter's dream, absolutely. The way the race went, from the way it was advertised to the way it ended, the Coleman family and Donna Rayburn have to be just absolutely thrilled with how the weekend went, because from what I could tell, it was absolutely flawless from start to finish.
And they'll be back next year as well, so you're going to have to get there earlier next year, it sounds like.
Yeah. I don't know if there'll be any parking down there. I may have to start parking on the Kentucky side in Lewis County, and we'll probably have to walk all the way from Lewis County over.
That's crazy. Well, it's good to see that all those people came out, and it sounds like it was a great race as well.
Yeah,
what you said. That's awesome.
It was.
Well, speaking of races, we've got several individuals and teams that have qualified in cross country, so we've got to give them a shout out. We'll take a look first on the boys' side of things to see who's going where. The Division II individuals that qualified, Aiden Kamler of Portsmouth, he's had a great season all year. Aiden Judd of Waverly, Jacob Nichols and Austin Taylor of Piketon, Landon Smith of Northwest, and Daniel Clark of Portsmouth. As for the Division II teams that qualified in the boys division, Waverly, who finished 5th, and Piketon, who finished 6th. Now in Division III, only 2 qualified, Evan Least of Eastern Pike and Matthew Harris of Minford. But as for Division III teams, Minford is going as a team, and Green finished 5th, so they'll be going as well. Awesome to see that Green's going on, as well as Minford. The girls' team for Minford is going to be advancing as well. So looking over at the girls' results, 2 in the Division II individuals, Hannah Goodman of Waverly, she qualified. Her entire team qualified as well. They finished 7th, so they got the last spot to qualify in the Division II girls to go on up in Pickerington in regional competition. And Division III individuals dominated by Portsmouth, Lindsay Shipley and Anna Marie Reyes will be advancing, and as we mentioned, Minford will go on in Division III as well. So can't wait to see how those runners do up in Pickerington at regionals, and I wish them the best of luck. It's awesome to see them going on. I think we've got several people here who could go to state as well.
Yeah, I think Aiden Kamler has the best shot of anybody. And Daniel Clark certainly has a chance. What I was really looking at, just all the Shawnee State touches on this list, like Aiden Kamler and Daniel Clark and Lindsay Shipley and Anne-Marie Reyes, all coached by Brad Liston. And then you have Corey Culbertson, who's gone up to Minford and has helped with Portsmouth too. And then you have Adam Schroeder at Northwest. Man, they have really, we talked about with Brad Liston last week, but I mean, Shawnee State has really, I think, helped develop and enhance the cross-country talent. And it's a growing sport. Cross-country and track is something that is definitely not something to be taken lightly in our area.
Absolutely.
And it's something that it takes a lot of skill and a lot of heart, and it's more mental, I think, takes more mental toughness than maybe any sport out there because of running at a constant pace for 20-25 minutes at a time. I mean, that I couldn't do that. That's just amazingly tough. And all of those individuals that are on this list deserve shout outs for doing that. Especially Anne-Marie Reyes, who not only qualifies for Pickerington, but then goes out and dominates on the volleyball side too, and plays outstanding on the front line for Portsmouth. I mean, to not only run it 25 minutes straight, but then go out and play so well in a volleyball match, man, that's just excellent conditioning.
Hannah Goodman get it done on the soccer field for Waverly.
Exactly.
Lindley Willis, she didn't go on to advance, but she's done well in cross country all season.
Yeah.
Big time scorer for the Pirates.
That's right.
As well. So speaking of soccer, we're going to take a look at the tournament because it's tournament time. So starting things off on the boys' side of things, hey, how about Northwest and North Adams? These teams met earlier this season. North Adams gave Northwest all they could handle. Of course, the Mohawks did win 1-0. So North Adams also won 1-0 to make it to this game. They beat Rock Hill, and Northwest beat Chesapeake 7-3. So can Northwest beat North Adams, or do you think the Green Devils will get it done in their second matchup? I think Northwest has what it takes to get it done. I think it's going to be more than 1-0 this time.
Yeah, I agree, Ben. I have it more than 1-0. I think the offensive attack for Northwest has gotten exponentially better even from the start of the year. Harold Runquist and Tyler Webb were outstanding against Chesapeake, and Northwest fended off some subpar at times that they'll admit defensive play in the back, and overcame that to quickly, without a doubt, put the game away. Ended up being up 6-1, 7-1, and never really looked back. And their offensive attack with Runquist, Webb, and Evan Throckmorton is absolutely outstanding. I put up against any offensive attack in Division III. They're just outstanding athletes, and the growth that the program has had and the ability for it to win not only the blowouts and make it look so dominating, but then to win two games, go 2-0 in games that are decided 1 goal or less. I think Northwest has the moxie, has that poise, has the passion, what it takes to get to the regional. It's no doubt in my mind.
I know we've been gushing over the potential for a South Webster Northwest matchup. We can have that if South Webster takes care of business against Lynchburg Clay, but the Mustangs are a very tough team.
They are.
I got to talk to Corey Claxton. Now, this was before Lynchburg and Minford concluded, so we didn't know who was going to win at the time, but let's see what he had to say about the potential for a matchup with the Mustangs.
Lynchburg is a team that we don't get to see very often, but they got their key guys back from last year, so I think they're a good team, although we haven't seen them.
And as he said, when you look at Lynchburg Clay's team, they're led by 3 scoring leaders who led the team in scoring last year as well. So a lot of continuity for Lynchburg Clay. I got to see them play Minford. They were very impressive. They won 4-1 entering the game. Lynchburg Clay has won 9 straight games. They've only lost 1 game all season. They're 15-1-2, and they're a very fast team. I think they could give South Webster all they can handle, but I think the Jeeps have enough to get it done. They're not going to take Lynchburg Clay lightly, and that out-of-conference schedule that South Webster had absolutely prepared them for this game, and that's great coaching from Corey Claxton to get that set up, and I think that's really prepared them well for this game.
Yeah, I've got South Webster. I can't wait. I think that it will be a 90-minute contest and then even more possibly, but I think, or 8-minute contest and even more possibly, but South Webster gets it done. South Webster with Sam Holstein and Shiloah Blevins up there at the top of the attack, just too strong. And then you're not even factoring in Ty Collins and Devin Coryell and the back line, which has been so solid for South Webster. And you brought up a great point about their schedule with playing Alexander and Zane Trace and Logan and Athens. That really prepares you against competition like Lynchburg Clay. And I think that schedule has got South Webster more than prepared, more than ready to take on Lynchburg Clay and come out with the win. I cannot wait to see what I believe will be one of the better regional semifinal games we've seen around here with South Webster and Northwest, and a matchup that is, if you're not a soccer fan, in comparison to Wheelersburg and West, because of how good both teams are and how both coaches are so similar in styles with Josh Keeney and Corey Claxton. They're just, everything about Northwest and South Webster, how they've gone about their business is so similar to teams that are just championship contenders in any sport.
We'll see how things shake out over in that one. On the ladies' side of things, Wheelersburg has an interesting matchup with Peebles, the Pirates taking on Peebles. And hey, Peebles might have their best team in program history. They set a program record for regular season wins with 10, but still the Pirates are very tough. I want to see how they key in on Brianna Shoemaker, number 7, one to watch for the Indians. She's the all-time leading goal scorer for Peebles, and she has 17 goals this season. We talk all the time about Wheelersburg's offense, but it's going to be the defense and the goalkeeping that get it done for Wheelersburg against Peebles, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think Morgan Blevins will have an outstanding game, and I think she'll absolutely get it done. Wheelersburg, I think, has this one. They're just so deep, and with the senior leadership that they've had, they've lived through this moment, and I think they'll do nothing but excel with the amount of senior leadership that they have. And in addition, like you said, with the back line experience, but then at the head of offensive attack with Madison Humble and Libby Miller and Lindley Willis, just an outstanding team all the way around. And I've got Burke in this one by 2 goals at least.
North Adams soccer community is well represented in this bracket.
Yes.
The boys are in the finals, or semifinals I should say, and the girls are in the semifinals as well. They're going to take on the Minford Falcons. North Adams beat Minford earlier in the season 4-2. They played Wheelersburg down to the wire. They only lost that one 2-1. I think it's a tough matchup for Minford, but the Falcons have a lot of senior leadership on the roster. They gave Wheelersburg all they could handle as well late in the season, and I think they've really come on strong when they need to the most.
I have Minford. I think Erin Daniels and Marissa Risner are the top 2 goal scorers on the team, and in my opinion, the spark plugs of the team. Will take this game over and will not relent and will not let Minford come away with a loss. I just think Minford's offensive attack and its attention to detail defensively, led by an outstanding defensive player in Aspen Lambert and Hannah Toll, will be too much. Brittany Wolfen-Barker is also good there on that front line, and they've got so many, the Shoemakers, Amy and Emily. They've got talent all over their roster, and I think they'll all and more will get it done for Minford as the Lady Falcons meet the Lady Pirates.
Now taking a look at some volleyball action, we'll start things off in Waverly. We've also got action up in Jackson. That was fun to say. In the Waverly 1, Wheelersburg starting things off. The Pirates play the winner of North Adams and Eastern. Do you know who won that? I couldn't find it.
I believe it was North Adams. Yes, it was. It was North Adams. They play North Adams, and that's going to be a very, very tough game for the Lady Pirates. Unfortunately, I'll have to miss that, but I think Wheelersburg comes out with the win. They beat North Adams in a tri-match with Portsmouth, which Wheelersburg won both of those games, and I think they'll win again. I really love what Alan Perry's group has done the entire season. They've more than exceeded expectations, and I believe that will continue. They have brought a strong group to the table in all facets. I thought Mallory Bergen with 20 straight service points in the second set against Colgrove, 24 for the game, played probably one of her best matches of the year, and that's going to be huge because I think she'll have another big game along with Allie McQuaid on that front line and Ellie Ruby there in the back. They'll be big for Wheelersburg in what I believe will be a tightly contested but a 4-set victory for Berg.
The winner of that one will go on to play the winner of Piketon and Zane Trace. Now, in the Waverly 2 side of things, Southeastern versus Fairland is the opener, but Portsmouth and the Huntington Huntsmen will be the second game. Trojans handled South Point pretty easily, but the Huntsmen did the same to Northwest. So Huntington's just 10-13 and 4-10 in the SVC, but the SVC is legit when it comes to volleyball. This is an interesting one. You got Portsmouth in this one, or are you going with Huntington?
I got Portsmouth in 5. Portsmouth looked so impressive against South Point. I was so impressed, especially with their play on the front line. I thought Lyda Spencer had her best game of the year. The blocking was outstanding. Portsmouth had 4 blocks in the first 15 volleys against South Point. It just dominated the game from start to finish. South Point had 1 lead, 1-0 in the second set, and that was it. Portsmouth shut it down. I mean, they played absolutely outstanding. Went 5 sets with South Point the week before, but did not relent, did not let up. Just love the way Portsmouth played. I think Portsmouth's got this one in 5, and it's going to be fun to watch the Lady Trojans move on as well.
Now taking a look at this one in the Waverly 3, Adina and Westfall start things off on Thursday, and then Alexander and Minford in the finale that night. Alexander finished 14-8 on the season, including 10-2 in their conference, out according to Max Preps. second place in the Tri-Valley Conference behind Athens. They did lose 2-1 to Wheelersburg. They beat South Webster 2-0. Max Preps has Minford as 10-11. The Falcons stepped up though. They beat Ironton after losing to the Tigers in the opener 3-1. So Minford starting to play well, just like the girls soccer team at the right time of the year. Do you think Minford can take down Alexander?
Man, that's gonna be very tough. Everybody knows Albany Alexander is one of the best volleyball programs you'll find in the Southeast District. Man, if Minford's going to win this game, they really have to rely on Ashley Blankenship and Allie Coriel a ton. Blankenship, when I saw them play in South Webster, Ashley Blankenship took the game over and did not relent, and they're going to have to keep the ball in her hands. If they get the ball in her hands, I think Minford can pull it out in 5, but they've really got to make good passes and be crisp because Alexander's going to be on its A game. I've got the Falcons in 5, but they really have to start. They need to pass very crisp and well, set up the attack attempts, and play solid defense in the back row. The defense at times against South Webster was a little bit shaky, but if they play solid defense, I think they got it.
Now taking a look at the Jackson side of things in the Division 4, in the first bracket, Waterford versus Western start things off on Wednesday, and then Clay taking on Eastern. I believe that's Eastern Reedsville.
Yeah, it's Reedsville Eastern.
That's Eastern Megs. So yeah. Clay, I think Clay's a solid team, and I don't think they're going to have any troubles in this one. I think they will advance to take on the winner of Waterford and Western in that one.
Clay wins the straight sets. I love what Clay did. Clay took care of business against Manchester. No issues, no problems, and I foresee the same thing with Jensen Warnock. Delaney Gilman, everybody's getting it done on the front line. I think Shaylin Munion's done an excellent job taking Jalen Warnock's place after Jalen got hurt. And Shaylin Bassett, Lila Brown, and Shaylin Munion make it a solid front six, as solid as you'll find. So I got Clay in straight sets.
Looking at the Jackson 2 side of things, it was hard to find information on these opponents. Notre Dame taking on Miller to get the evening started on Thursday. Yeah. Miller hails from the Tri-Valley Conference. Notre Dame seems poised to make it to the regional tournament. That was one of their goals. I don't think they're going to have any issues with Miller, but maybe in the next game because Federal Hockey is taking on New Boston. Now, we saw New Boston and Notre Dame earlier. Notre Dame made it easy against New Boston, at least at times. Do you think New Boston or Notre Dame have any trouble in their matchups?
Notre Dame wins in straight sets against Miller. They will have no trouble. New Boston will have some trouble with Federal Hockey, but I do think New Boston will pull it out in 5. But as with Minford, New Boston needs to clean up its backline play. New Boston backline play, as you see here, I mean, it was really tough at times. They've got to clean up that backline play, and They had a 10-set lead, 10 volley lead in the second set against Eastern, and they blew the lead. And you just cannot do that in tournaments. Good teams will make you pay. They've got to keep that advantage because Eastern Pike really, I mean, they're going to be a great team. Their 2 best players are sophomore and freshman, but New Boston's going to have to play better if they want to get to the district finals. I do think they will play better, and I do have New Boston winning in 5.
That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Potential rematch in that one as well. So we've got several Scioto County schools, some that haven't faced each other, some that have, with the potential to face off in tournament action. It doesn't get any better than that. No. It really doesn't. Well, we've got some top performers to name, and I'll go ahead and start with mine. Billy Crabtree of Northwest. We've talked about him some. He's been a spark plug for the Mohawks all year long, yes. And they were really glad to have him back last week. And then against Green in the last game, he ran for 3 touchdowns in the first half. Got the chance to talk with him after the game. Let's see what he had to say about his performance.
Not only just back out there on the field, but you're scoring touchdowns as well. You had 3 in the first half.
Yeah, I got to thank my line and my quarterback for giving me the ball first, and then the defensive, like the wide receiver that had the blocks and everything.
I think it was the second touchdown you scored. You were making people miss out there, throwing off the dance moves. What did you see on that play when the play kind of broke down?
I was trying to get to the end zone. That's all I could do.
Trying to make the highlight reel. Right? Yeah. You got the kids up there recording for huddle, so you got to show out for that.
I got to show it off my mixtape.
Well, he definitely gave a lot to watch for on that huddle mixtape for sure, without a doubt. Moving on, Sam Holstein of South Webster and Shiloah Blevins, the dynamic duo for the Jeeps. Holstein had a hat trick in the district tournament against Valley. Looked very impressive, and I think they're going to need Blevins and Holstein moving forward if they want to beat Lynchburg Clay, absolutely. And then last but not least, the cross-country runners who advanced to regionals, have to give them a shout-out. I've told several people I used to run cross-country. I was very bad at it. So anytime I see someone...
He doesn't give himself enough credit on anything. Never does. Never does.
Anyone who's good in cross-country gets a lot of credit in my book, because that's impressive to me, and especially to go on to regionals against some great runners. We're from Kentucky.
Right.
I used to hate coming to Ohio to run against people because the teams were just so much better than us. I went to Graham at the time, and they were really good. I used to hate going to South Point. Randy Smith, who coaches at Green now,
he did.
Was at South Point there, and man, the pointers were always primed and ready to go whenever we faced off with them. Every team in Southeast Ohio always gave us all we could handle. It was fun.
I believe my cousin ran track under him, and they were very, very strong in track. South Point was back in the early 2000s, so I can vouch for you. Randy Smith is a very good coach.
Well, who do you have for your top performers?
I've got three guys who accomplished milestones to start it off. Garrett Hurd, first of all, because I have to mention him first because of his effort. His effort has been outstanding this year. He eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark with 139 yards and 2 touchdowns against Cincinnati Schroeder in a 64-14 win. Just an outstanding performance. He's now at 1,113 yards on the season. Has 11 touchdowns. That is an outstanding season. First team All Southeast District, All Ohio type, stat line. That is a guy who's just getting it done and just plays hard. Looking at those stats, it'd be hard to believe he's only 5'7", 175, 180 pounds, but man, he just runs like he's a bull. He just takes hits, and he's taken some shots this year. I thought would be hard for him to get up from, but man, he takes it, shakes it off, keeps pushing, plugging
Dylan Bradford, they're tough, man. It's a West Side thing. I think.
It is a West Side thing, and they do embrace it. It's very real. I believe it. I've seeing my dad, seeing other people from West Side. I do believe it is a West Side thing. They take a lot of pride in where they're from and how they go about things over there, and that's great. That's absolutely what you have to have to be successful in life, having a lot of pride in where you're from. So I absolutely, Garrett Hurd deserves a ton of credit for what he's done this season, being the feature back in that offense and allowing West to control the ball. Cody Staggs with a 35-yard kickoff return and 66-yard punt return for a touchdown. Outstanding. He's been outstanding on every facet. He's caught balls, made great plays on the receiving side. He has 5 interceptions, and he has now these 2 special teams touchdowns to his credit now. That just speaks again to his ability as a leader, as a captain, to lead West to a 9-0 season. He's done it in every facet. He deserves all the credit in the world for the improvements he's made in his game. So congrats, Cody. The excellent play. Isaac Kelly, bring him up because he's only the second player, believed to be only the second player in Portsmouth high school history to run and throw for over 1,000 yards in a season. That's tough to do. This is a guy that's a D2 caliber quarterback easy. If schools are willing to take a look, I think he's absolutely a D2 caliber guy. At worst in AI, talent, Mid-South Conference type talent. He's a very, very good quarterback. Would love to have him see him on any college football team because he's definitely a college football caliber talent. Talyn Parker with 4 touchdowns, scored in a variety of ways, catching them and running them. 59-yard touchdown run, 8-yard touchdown run, 6-yard touchdown run, I think 40-yard touchdown reception. He's just an outstanding back. Boy, is it going to be fun to watch him the last 2 years of his high school career. And then Brady Douthat for breaking the passing touchdown mark against Central Valley in the first quarter through a 28-yard touchdown bullet to Devin Stevens and a 39-yard touchdown on 4th and 10 to J.D. Hatcher to really put East out in front in the first half. And outstanding play from Brady all night was huge. And the entire East line, who James Gifford said in the second half was the best performance from his line they've seen all year. outstanding, and Brady was with his plays in the first half, running for 19 yards on 3rd and 8, excuse me, was a critical plays that he made time and time again from the pocket. Sometimes I think he takes off, sometimes maybe a little bit too early, but I don't think it's any selfish play on his part. I think it's just wanting to do so much for his team. Sometimes, as a player, you try to do a little bit too much. But he's done a great job reeling that in. I think he showed that on Friday against Sims Valley, and with the win, East is in really good shape playoff-wise, and they're likely going to make the playoffs. They just got to take care of business against Notre Dame. I think it's a lock. So congrats to Brady and the East football team for that.
We talk a lot about Tanner Holden and Trent Salyers and their connection, but Brady Douthat and J.D. Hatcher, they've hooked up several times, over 10 passing touchdowns to just J.D. Hatcher alone. They're a connection in the SOC1. I think they are the duo in the SOC1, like Holden and Salyers in the SOC2 for sure.
They said the fan on our Facebook page was saying, Douthat to Hatcher, money in the bank. And it's true. It's true. It was money in the bank in Sims Valley when they needed it to be. Then I've got to shout out Erin Daniels and Marissa Risner of Minford. They have been outstanding. They were strong against Chesapeake, scored both goals, and combined to score both goals in the win over the Lady Panthers, and beat Chesapeake for the 3rd time in 3 meetings. This is always tough to do. Those two are going to be big. Yeah, again, like we mentioned, if Minford wants to beat North Adams, they will have to be big. The trio of Evan Throckmorton, Tyler Webb, and Harold Brunquist, again, have been huge time again, the best offensive attack you'll see. And they continued it against Chesapeake on Saturday on the boys' side. Just outstanding play from those 3. Then we got the Portsmouth Volleyball program for beating South Point 3 times and just putting together, from what I saw, a much, much improved Portsmouth team. The first time I saw them, trying to get the 1,000 kills for Aiden, but then even against Notre Dame, Fields was really taking control of a lot of the offensive attack. It seems like Aiden's injury, where she was out for a little while, seemed to actually help Portsmouth because they've developed other girls that can be go-tos at different times. I really think it's going to help Portsmouth make a big run here late and possibly get to the regionals. PRP, large crowd in the 27-year history of the track. We've already talked about that. That's just outstanding. It could be. They've already announced that they're coming back for 2018, so that's always awesome for this area. It brings a lot of revenue. Just a big-time event. I hope everybody, even if you're not a racing fan, comes out, because it's really something that needs to be supported. It is a big-time event that they put on. It's big for the entire county. It is one of the best events you'll find. It's kind of like the Super Bowl of dirt track racing. You've got the World 100 at Eldora, the Knoxville Nationals, the Chili Bowl, and this. This is probably the 4th biggest dirt track race you'll find in America. So you need to support it and keep it here. It's big. It's big for Souda County. I cannot stress that enough. Please support this, because it is big for the county. I lastly forgot to mention him, but Blaine Scott committing to West Virginia on Friday. I really loved how he handled the process, Ben, after the things with Ole Miss went awry. He didn't make it ever about himself. He said, I'm keeping this done until toward the end of the season. I want to focus on my team. I want to stay committed to the team process, and he has done that. In 40 pancake blocks, not counting what he did against Sims Valley on Friday, will prove that. And he had the right, in my opinion, to make the commitment when he did, especially with him being an early enrollee. It was time to do it, and I think he made a very, very good choice. I think West Virginia is a great football program, trending upward on the scale. They're always going to be competitive, and he's going to possibly see a lot of playing time there. So I think he made an outstanding choice, not only from an athletic standpoint, but from an academic standpoint too.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him in the Mountaineer blue and gold. It's going to be awesome to watch, and blocking for my boy Will Greer as well. Yeah. That's going to be crazy to watch. Well, now it's time for the important part of the show, the picks, high school football picks. We'll have Hunter Staggs joining us on the program, but first we're going to take a look at the broadcast schedule for the week before we go on and do picks.
Hey, this game on Friday night, kind of a big deal between the Portsmouth West Senators and the Wheelersburg Pirates. You can actually listen to that one over on Mix 99.3 as well as on 107.5 The Breeze. It's a mega cast from Mix 99.3 and WNXT Radio. As for the Portsmouth Trojans, they are taking on the Ironton Tigers on the road. You can listen to that one over on AM 1260. And last but not least, the battle for Lucasville Minford Row can be heard over on WNXT2 with pregame starting at 6:30.
Well, we're at the last week of the regular season in high school football, so we've got to finish it out with some picks, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to start things off on an interesting one. Across the river in Kentucky, your alma mater, the Russell Red Devils, taking on the Racel Rams. But Kevin, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go with the Rams in this one.
I'm not sorry, I'm picking them too. Russell almost lost the Bath, so and Raceland, you saw what they could do against West. I've got Raceland and Raceland by about 4 touchdowns. Sorry, Russell, not going to have it for you this year. That standard to excellence is not going to be the standard on Friday.
Raceland, they put up a really big fight against West, and this week I'm going to have to say Raceland's going to get a win.
In the SVC, I picked Piketon last week to beat St. Trace. They almost did. So this week they've got Unioto, a tough team. I think I'm going to have to go with Unioto, though, in this one in the SVC battle.
Yeah, me too. Unioto beat St. Trace by 2 scores, and St. Trace beat Piketon by 8 at Piketon. So I've got Unioto by about 2 or 3 scores too.
I'm going to say Unioto.
All right, well, I don't think we're going to be differing in opinion on this one either. The Green Bobcats taking on Oak Hill on the road in Jackson County. The Oaks are tough. They beat East. They've had a very good season. Shut out Sims Valley as well. I think Oak Hill, no question in this one.
Yeah, Oak Hill by a lot. Greens play hard, but I got the Oaks in this one.
I'm going to have to say the Oaks, along with these guys, they put up a real hard-fought game last week, and I'm going to have to say the Oaks. I think they'll blow them out.
Now, Eastern's got a big trip to make. The Eagles taking on Manchester, and this could be a game where they could finish the season 5-5. They're 4-5 so far this year. They've got a bunch of athletes, the Eagles do. I think Eastern gets the win here.
Yeah, and I really was impressed with how they played against Oak Hill. It wasn't a blowout by any means, and played really strong. And Eastern got an early lead against East, so I've got the Eagles in this one by 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, they've definitely had a strong team this year. I'm going to have to go with the Eagles.
Drake Myers can really throw the ball. I saw him against East. He had a nice 66-yard touchdown, something like that. It was impressive. It was a nice throw. I think they can be a very good team next year as well. They're really building.
Yeah.
Notre Dame taking on East now and staying in the SOC 1. I don't think the Titans have enough to take down East on the road at the original Tartan Turf. East is just too tough.
Right, I agree with you, Ben. I think East is too strong, man. They were impressive against Sims Valley. Their line in the second half was absolutely outstanding. Brady Douthat was strong. They play like that. East will win without much of a problem.
I think East is going to end up getting a W in this game against Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they've really struggled this year, and they don't have a lot of numbers. Brady's got a cannon for an arm. I think they're going to end up winning at least by 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Right. James Gifford, he said we're not going to underestimate them, and he's right. I mean, Bob actually 13, 14, 15 guys, they play as hard as anybody out there. They really do.
And they're not going to be intimidated.
Yeah.
They have no reason to be. They're a very good team, and they're going to be tough in the years to come as well with a good group coming in next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So definitely keep your eye out on the Titans in the years to come. But for now, we're going to stick over to the SOC 1 where senior night at Northwest, the Mohawks have won 2 straight games. Can they do it against Sims Valley? I've got the Vikings, but I think it could be close.
Yeah, I think it'll be a 3 or 4 score game, but it will be 1 or 2 at halftime. I think Sims Valley's line play, which was really impressive against East in the first half, and the running abilities of Derek Brace and Lake and Gothard will be too much for the Mohawks to stop on the ground.
I want to go with Sims Valley. Northwest, they put up really good games these past couple weeks with 2 great wins, but I think Sims Valley's going to get it done in the end and get a W.
Waverly's got their final game of the season at home as well. They're 6-3 on the season, a chance to move to 7-3 against River Valley. I think they do that. The Tigers win.
Yeah, I think they win by a convincing margin. I just really like the progression Clayton Howell has made, and I think they will end up clinching the playoff berth with the win over River Valley.
I think the Tigers are going to end up getting a really good win Friday night against River Valley. I'm going to have to say Tigers.
Well, now it's rivalry time, the time that we've been waiting for all year, and we've got a big one here. Valley and Minford, both teams 3-6, but a lot of pride is on the line between these 2 teams. I think I'm going with the Indians. They held Wheelersburg to 38. I mean, I know the Pirates kind of slowed down a little bit in that game, but Valley has been impressive at times this year. I think the Indians will win.
I agree. I think Valley gets this one. Really like what Minford has at the table with the skill positions, but Valley has, I think, met or even exceeded these expectations, especially as the season has come to a close. They played Wheelersburg very tough last week in the first half. Had a 14-7 game going into this, going late into the first quarter, and just really impressed with the strides that they made, especially in the running game. And Andrew Shope has proven his abilities to throw the football. It will be close, but I have Valley by 10.
Yeah, that game last week against Berg they held their own. They did really good, but they ended up coming out with a loss. But this week it's a completely different ball game. I think Valley's going to get it done against Minford.
Heading over to the OVC now. If you would have told me that both of these teams would be 4-5 heading into this game at the end of the season, I probably would have called you crazy at the start of the year. The Portsmouth Trojans and Ironton both 4-5. That's crazy to think.
It is.
One of these teams is going to finish with a losing season. I think it's going to be Ironton. I think Portsmouth gets the win.
I agree. I think Portsmouth wins this game. Ironton's got some injuries right now, and they lose this game. Boy, Mark Bass's seat gets hot, but it is going to be. Talyn Parker was amazing against South Point. 4 touchdowns, and they were up 39-0 at halftime. Did not take South Point lightly at all. I've got the Trojans, and I've got them by 2 scores at least. They've really looked good offensively, and I think the defense will continue its improvement. Ironton's just, man, what a shocker. Both these teams out of the playoffs, and Ironton possibly thinking with a losing record. It's got to drive Ironton fans crazy.
I think Portsmouth's going to get it done and get their 5th win of the season. I think they got what it takes.
Isaac Kelly really showed off the throwing arm against South Point as well. Really showed what he could do also, and not just get it done on the ground, but through the air as well. So that'd be something to watch out for.
Yeah, right. For
sure.
Well,
now the game that everyone is talking about in Scioto County, and it's a big one. Portsmouth West 9-0 and Wheelersburg 9-0. We were talking about this one before we started recording. And I think Wheelersburg just has too much depth, but it's going to be a close game. Wheelersburg by no means is going to blow West out, I don't think, in this game because of the way that West approaches things with that ball control offense. I think it's going to be close. Last year, West gave Wheelersburg all they could handle as a 3-7 team. So, I think it's going to be a close game, but I've got the Pirates in the end prevailing.
I totally agree with everything Bid said and then some. I think it'll be a 14-7 ball game at halftime. I love what West does, controlling the football, and I love their heart. But Wheelersburg has just as much heart as West does, and they have more depth. And I think with the halftime adjustments, I think Wheelersburg will end up pulling away in the second half. I've got Wheelersburg winning 38-17.
This is hands down the biggest game of the year, guys. For the West team and the Wheelersburg team, I think it's going to be a heck of a game. The stands are going to be packed. Everybody's going to be there. If you're going to go, get there early. I think I'm a West Sider. I got to stay with my boys. Go West.
All right, and by no means, I think the Senators will have a chance in the fourth quarter. I know you say it's going to be close, but I think it's going to be a close game. I really think that West will have a chance in the fourth quarter, but I just think Wheelersburg in the end, they'll just have too much down as the game ends, too much depth, and they can just bring fresh people in. So I think that's going to be too much for West.
Yeah, they can score in a hurry too, and when you're a ball control offense and you're taking 7-8 minutes off the clock to score, sometimes with how fast Wheelersburg scores, they score in less than a minute and a half at times this year, and they can score really on any play anywhere from the field. That can be really deflating. And I think in the second half that will just be too much for West to overcome, and they'll have to kind of try to force things through the air. But I will say West has a huge takeaway margin. They're over +10 in takeaways, and Wheelersburg's right at the even Mendoza line on takeaways, and that's a huge part of the game of football. So that's why I think really that's why the game's going to be close. I think Cody Staggs and other guys will be able to force Wheelersburg into some misplays in the first half. Not because Wheelersburg really did anything wrong, but because West is that good at forcing pressure from the outside edge.
Yeah, they definitely have a strong defense. I think they're going to get it done. It's going to be a good game.
And special teams as well. I mean, you talk about
two great special teams.
So. He's done really good this year.
2 great special teams. I mean, Drew Cassidy just outstanding, and Cody Staggs had the punt return, kick return for a touchdown last week.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah, and Jalen Miller's a heck of a kicker. He's got a heck of a leg, and Jonathan Eaton's one of the best special teams coaches you'll find. So
he is.
Man, what a great battle that's going to be. Battle wins.
Much more.
You really can't.
in the season finale. Well, next week we'll have playoff picks. It's sad to see the regular season come to an end. Now next week's gonna be playoff time, so a lot to look forward to. Both West and Wheelersburg will definitely be in the playoffs.
And I do not think it will be, this game here will not be the last time they meet. I really do think they'll be meeting in the region finals. They will be there.
I think they will.
Yeah, that would be fun and crazy to see for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, make sure you let us know what you think about not only this big West versus Wheelersburg game, but all the other matchups as well. For Hunter Staggs and Kevin Colley, thanks again, guys, for watching, and make sure you share the video and check it out next week as we'll have some playoff picks for you.